We were living in Washington, D.C., and it was late August of '89, or maybe it was the beginning of September. Fall tour was coming a couple of weeks down the road. The Grateful Dead were already hit and miss to a certain extent. Somebody told us a rumor that the Grateful Dead were going to play Hampton for the first time since I guess they played it in '88. But they were going to play Hampton, and they were surprise shows. So based on that rumor, we got in the car and drove to Hampton, Virginia, just to see if it was true. We pulled up to the arena, and lo and behold, it was true, and they were selling tickets. So we got all the tickets that everybody wanted for those shows. And unlike other shows, these tickets were not for shows months down the road. These tickets were for next week. So the enthusiasm was at the highest point. So the day of the show, we show up there. It was a madhouse to go in. But we went in, and the first song was Feel Like a Stranger, and it's, you know, we had been going to a lot of shows. It wasn't that they were so far away, but that particular Feel Like a Stranger, I think it's the one on Without a Net, quite honestly. It was awesome. So we knew that the music was there. We knew the instruments were working. Often you would hear Jerry talking about, well, the first thing I got to do is make sure my instrument is working. Anybody who plays an instrument knows what that means. It's like being an athlete. Either you got it that day or you don't. And he clearly had it that day. So the first day, the first set was okay. I don't remember too much about it, but the second set was Help on the Way. The first Help on the Way in however long. It was one of the most exciting things that could happen in a Grateful Dead situation. And then I think the encore was Bid You Goodnight, which had been broken out in California a couple of weeks earlier, but we on the East Coast had not seen it. So it was an East Coast breakout, and it was spectacular. But then the next day was I mean, I'm getting little goosebumps even talking about it. The next day was ridiculous, you know, Dark Star. Dark Star. I have the clearest memory of that Dark Star starting, and I've seen it on video. And it always comes back to me. I was the equivalent of the 8th row. It was general admission, so people were standing up, but my friends and I were about where the 8th row would be. We were right there when the Dark Star started, and he was strong. The guitar playing was strong. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. The sheer magnetism, the sheer magnitude of the breakout drove the crowd nuts. Then, you know, there were certain songs that required Jerry to hit the notes, and a lot of times he didn't hit them in the late 80s and into the 90s. He just flubbed them. But the Dark Star, he hit every note. And and then he got into a riff that really signaled, not only am I playing Dark Star, I'm gonna go explore, and it's gonna be a good Dark Star. So that happened, then Drums in Space, and then the Death Don't Have No Mercy, which, again, it had been broken out on the West Coast, I think, but it was our first. In the grand scheme of that show, everybody will talk about the Dark Star breakout, but that Death Don't Have No Mercy probably stands out as the greatest piece of music that I ever saw the Grateful Dead perform live. It was spectacular. And then at the end of it, The Attics of My Life. I mean, it was magic.